What's up, everybody? Couch Mills here, coming at you with a brand new Valorant video. And with patch 3.05 Act 2 dropping, let's talk about the new Valorant agent tier list from worst to best agents that you could possibly play, so you know what agents to really hard grind this act. And of course, with the buffs and nerfs of this patch, there are going to be some changes to where an agent is listed on this tier list, as well as a new map where some agents thrive and others just don't really perform. So let's break it all down, but go to the GameLeap website right now for high quality VOD reviews from a top 100 Radiant player on the GameLeap website over every single agent. You gotta go check it out right now down below. But without further ado, let's jump into the video. Now, of course, let's start off with the F tier, and I've been shitting on this agent for basically non-stop until they freaking rework him, and it's Yoru. Now, don't get me wrong, Yoru can definitely get a lot of value in the hands of a god, but unfortunately, when you compare him pound for pound with any of the other duelists that you could pick instead of Yoru, he is just going to make you work far harder for not even a fraction of the same impact level. Honestly, Yoru needs that rework. I know that they delayed it a while back, and I really wish it was gonna be in this patch, but it's just not. So come on, Riot, you promised us the rework? Give us the damn rework already, and definitely let me know in the comments down below what you want Yoru to gain, what abilities do you want to see changed, and in what way down below. Now, next up, we gotta talk about the D tier, and it's actually interesting because these two agents are characters that actually did get buffed in the patch 3.05, but it's just simply not enough to make a huge difference. We got Breach being buffed where his abilities, a lot of them will be able to destroy things like Killjoy's lockdown, a lot of different Sentinel utility, and Brimstone, his orbital strike is the same way to a large extent. And yeah, these are nice quality of life changes for these characters, but honestly, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things when these characters are not seeing any play, and just their positive matchup against other agents that don't see maxed out play anyways is not enough to make that difference. Unfortunately, Breach just kind of falls like a second fiddle to Skye, where you'll see in a little while that Skye's insane, and Breach just doesn't do what Skye can do, and Skye can do everything that Breach can do, unfortunately. And when you look at pro pick rate, Breach, a character that is supposed to be better when you have that synergy, sees almost no pro play, meaning for ranked play, he's honestly just not that great, and I think he needs quite a big buff in order for him to move up the tier list rapidly. And then Brimstone, he is honestly just an inferior version of Omen, and Omen doesn't even see that much play right now. That's kind of crazy, but it's true. Brimstone really just has an ability that is basically useless in the stim beacon. This tiny quality of life buff is not going to change Brimstone and make him tier. I think if you replace stim beacon, replace it with some other powerful ability that he can use to stall or even be proactive with, I think all of a sudden we can have a conversation about Brimstone. But until then, unless you're only just filling to controller, he's probably not the controller that you should be picking up and maining. Now, next up, we definitely got to talk about the C tier, characters that are good but not amazing by any stretch of the imagination. And the first one we got to talk about is KO. KO is good, gathers information through walls, has a decently powerful ultimate, and flashes that you can use to be proactive. But unfortunately, as far as initiators are concerned, he is being super outshined by both Skye and Sova, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And he cannot replace the power level that a duelist could bring, someone like Raze or Jett or freaking even Reyna. So, well, yes, he does see some play here or there in pro play, and I think he's pretty good for ranked play. He's definitely not going to be top of the leaderboard or anything like that. And next up is Phoenix. Phoenix, we talk about him a lot. He is good at doing a lot of different things, and I think he's actually quite a bit more powerful for ranked play. But when you're talking about maxed out impact and just potentially abusing the enemy, characters that have either some form of powerful utility, something like Raze's Boombot and Satchel, those are very powerful and do something very unique, or very strong mobility like Jett's dash or Reyna's fade that allow them to get a kill, play an off angle, and get out safely. Those two things, one of those two things are basically required to be a top tier duelist, and Phoenix has neither. But his ultimate is very powerful. He can help a team get on site. So like if you have a really shitty controller, you can like smoke off a part of a site, clear cubbies yourself with AoE. Like he can do a lot and he can be amazing in ranked, but just talking about his overall power level, it's a little bit lacking. I think he's a fine pick though. Last up, we do got to talk about Omen in the C tier. Omen is still a fine pick. He's still decent in ranked play. He's amazing. Unfortunately, some of the maps just don't work very well with the type of smokes that Omen has, where it's a single target smoke and a character like Viper is going to be far better. You know, really open maps like Breeze, for instance. Omen, it's going to be very hard to smoke off what you need to smoke off. That being said, one of the biggest reasons that Omen is being held down is just his inferiority to a character like Astra. Astra's very powerful, and honestly, if you're looking for those single target smokes, Astra just has a lot more power level in her abilities. She can stall, she can suck, she can concuss. And Omen just has one paranoia that is going to get value, two teleports that might get value, and then his ultimate is definitely weaker than Astra's, especially for team play. So Omen is going to reside in this C tier for now. Now, next up, we got to talk about B tier, characters that are definitely ramping up in power level and being part of the legitimate meta, even if they aren't as oppressively powerful as some of the A and S tier characters. Now, we have 3 in this B tier. We have Reyna, Killjoy, and Cypher. Now, Reyna is a character that is very powerful in the right hands. For ranked play, she's probably like triple S tier. And in pro play, you typically only see cracked out mechanical players play this agent. It's almost like they're smurfing in pro level. That's how good you have to be to make this character work. Her flashes are unique that make her really great for joint team rushes because you don't flash your teammates. You have the capability of basically effectively taking 1v1s over and over again at full health. And she's like the clutch god character. While I don't think that her ceiling is as powerful as a character like Jett, like I think Jett's ceiling is like some of the highest individually, I think Reyna is still an amazing character, and all of you know, if you got the mechanical skill to back her up, you can definitely hard carry game after game with her in ranked. Now, Killjoy and Cypher might be interesting to you to think that they're both in B tier. Now, Killjoy actually is getting nerfed in this patch, and it's actually one of the reasons why she's dropping to Cypher's level. I thought she was a fair bit above Cypher as far as power level is concerned before this, but now with the tagging nerfs as far as her turret, that's going to be a really big deal in that pistol round where Killjoy had a huge advantage getting that turret, getting that huge amount of tagging slow. Now that that's no longer the case, a lot of people are going to be able to, like, let's say, make that beeline across the turret to safety rather than having to destroy the turret, or else you're just going to get slowed down and gummed up at a choke point. Now, in general, it really looks like Riot is kind of nerfing Sentinels over and over again. Sentinels seem to be getting weaker and weaker patch after patch. Now, with a lot of these changes to how the ultimates and abilities work with Brimstone, Brim, and Sova, Sentinel utility becomes far easier to interact with, and I think overall Sentinels are like taking a step back, and there's some maps where even in pro play they're not played all that much. Even though I think that they're really good, I don't think by any stretch of the imagination that having a Sentinel on every single team is required anymore. And while I do think they're good and I think they're legitimately powerful, they're definitely not auto includes. Now, next up, we do got to talk about the A tier. These are characters that are really becoming meta-defining staples, very powerful. Even if they aren't borderline overpowered, they are still played in tons of different ranked matches and pro matches alike with high win rates. We have Astra first off. We talked about her. If you're talking about single target smokes, Astra just does it best because she can do the job of single target smoking a certain choke point, a power angle, but at the same time, she has extra utility that is going to allow her to stall, potentially set up easy kills with her team, playing an off angle into one of her sucks, and her ultimate is undoubtedly like the most powerful between Brimstone, her, and Omen. It's not even close. She's a very strong character, and she's one of the big reasons why if you're looking for a controller to play that's a single target smoker, which is going to be good on some of the more close maps that have, you know, choke points that you could specifically target, maps like Haven as opposed to a map like Breeze where Viper is going to shine far more. You're going to want Astra over a character like Omen and Brimstone. If you're looking for a character to main and get good at, I think Astra in the controller category is one of the ones you definitely should be grinding. Now, next up, we do got to talk about Raze. Now, Raze did get a change in patch 3.05 where the boombot doesn't do as much, right? It doesn't do as much damage. It's not as strong, but it is cheaper. And ultimately, I think this is a buff. Some people are going to call it a nerf, but really, having the boombot's price be cheaper is the true amazing thing, because at 400 credits before, it was just way too goddamn expensive. Raze being able to play off her boombot and gather information and just force enemies out of these really tight corridors that they could be camping in and holding, you know, like split mid, that is the power level. It's not the damage itself. Now, there's always going to be that threat of damage, and there could be situations where an enemy will take the damage and then try to fight you, but still, you're going to get that information. Oftentimes, oftentimes if they take any damage, they're still gonna die to your boom bot. I think that overall, Raze is actually gonna be a little bit better than she was before. Even if before she was already A tier, she's just rocking it still. Now, last up in the A tier, we do gotta talk about Sage, a character that has a really high ranked win rate, and then in pro play, she sees quite a bit of play. She's very powerful at stalling. Her ultimate is just like one of the best, if not the best ultimates in the entire game. I think that the flexibility of Sage in rank to be able to be this sentinel that also can use her ability, stall for a while, and then go lurk, be aggressive, make proactive plays with a sort of pseudo self-sustain like Reyna's Devour. I think that all of that is great, and I think that Sage is one of those characters that pretty much any composition is going to be happy having a Sage on their team. Now, last up, we got to talk about the S tier, and there are 4 agents in the S tier, and these are the most powerful, borderline overpowered, best of the best agents that you could possibly play. And if you really want to succeed this act, mastering one of these 4 agents is assured to get you there, if I'm being honest. Now, the first one is Jett. Everyone knows Jett's freaking strong. She abuses budget weapons better than any other character because of her mobility, her updraft, and of course her insta smokes that she can play around, and she abuses snipers better than any other character, and she can abuse rifles because she can off angle and get out that only her and Reyna can do. So you think about it, gunplay is going to be maxed out on this character. Not only that, but eco is going to be insane on this character because she can just use knives plus freaking light shields. She can abuse marshals better. She is just going to be this character that has the potential to carry rounds where you're saving and just abuse weapons that no other character can abuse to that extent. She's just amazing in the right hands on any team. She's phenomenal. Now, next up, we got to talk about Viper. Viper is definitely one of the most important characters in this meta, period. She's becoming more and more played in pro play on every map, but before on specifically wide open maps like Icebox, maps like Breeze, definitely this new map as well. Viper is amazing. Being able to have lines of smoke instead of a targeted smoke is really needed when you don't have one specific angle that you're trying to guard from. Instead, you're trying to funnel your way onto site. Like if you just have single smokes trying to take Breeze, it is very difficult to like push a site when you only have single smokes. In fact, it's borderline freaking impossible to do. You need to be able to split up that point, and Viper just plays so well into that. On top of that, lineups, if you can become a lineup god, and lineups are going to be even more important on the new map Fracture. There are a million freaking lineups, and I would highly suggest my buddy's Twitch, Day Only Dagger. He's an immortal Viper nerd, and I would highly suggest, checking him out. He was playing on the map prematurely, and he was just, grinding lineups on stream. So yeah, if you want to learn a thing or two about what is super important to master this act, definitely go check him out if you want to be a Viper main. The next up in the S tier, we have Sova. Sova has been an S tier for a long time, and it's just not going to change. That level of information, that level of, being able to take space with his drone, his recon, the fact that recon's on cooldown, his ultimate is near like guaranteed kills in the right hands. There's just so much about Sova that just make him like the perfect agent. He's like silently carrying so many games. He might not be at the top of the leaderboard in kills, but the amount of kills he enables is just phenomenal. The amount of retakes he enables and point wins he enables, like it's just amazing. If you could become a Sova god, like you're just going to just set yourself up for the future in Valorant, because he's gonna be meta as long as they don't just like freaking nerf him to the goddamn ground, which I don't think is gonna happen. I think it's great that a character like Sova that takes a lot of effort and skill is at the top. I think that that's great for the game, and overall, I think that Sova is just one of the best characters you could possibly master in the game, period. Now, last up, we gotta talk about the last character in S tier, and it's Skye. Skye just has been climbing the freaking pick rate, and now she's one of the most picked characters in all of NA, and yeah, it's freaking phenomenal from pro play to ranked play. Skye is amazing. I mean, think about in that early pistol round, being able to heal up your team is just really, really strong. Being able to pop flash and flash aggressively, take peeks yourself, fake flash, mind games people with a maybe I'm gonna pop it, maybe I'm just gonna peek while it just flies out. That's really going to give you a lot of flexibility with your aggressive options. You're going to get to gain information in a similar way that Sova does with your flashes, which is something that Breach can't do. And that's just really, really strong. Your ultimate is great for retakes, and your dog is great in a similar way that Sova Drone is for gathering information or allowing duelists to take point control or retake point control. following your dog. And there's just a lot about the character that is really, really great. And she is one of the defining characters in this meta. If you're looking for a character to pick up that hasn't been meta for a long time, but looks like she's gonna be meta for the foreseeable future, I would highly suggest Skye. But go to the GameLeap website if you want in-depth advanced VOD reviews over any of these agents. You definitely need to in order to dominate. Go check it out right now. But thank you so much for coming by. Hope you enjoyed the video. I love your faces, and I'll see you next time.